6 Mother's Days ago, I was 122 days away from where I'm standing right now. You might ask yourself, what does 122 days mean? Well, where I was, a guy asked me, ¿Cuánto tiempo dilata para llegar a Estados Unidos a caballo? What does that mean? Does anyone know what that means? Okay. It means that how long does it take to get to your home on horseback? Rather odd question. Maybe not so odd for where I was. I was in a place where no one had ever seen an airplane. The nearest road was maybe 2 or 3 days walk away, and cars that would pass on this road would maybe come by once or twice a week. So the chances of seeing a car are pretty slim. So you can understand why people, when their only mode of transportation is horseback, would say, yeah, how long does it take to get to your house by horseback? And I thought about it, and I'm like, wow, that's a really tough question. I could have told you like in hours with an airplane, and I had to take a taxi, and go to different airports and blah 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 blah, and make it to my house. But then I realized, well, this is an honest question, and okay, fine, this is where he's from, this is his perspective. So I began to tell him where I was from as well. So I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I told him, Charlotte's named after a famous person somewhere in Europe. And he was like, "Where's Europe?" And I was like, that way, a long way. And so I began to tell him a little bit about myself. I said, well, I'm from Charlotte. As a kid, I loved to play sports. I was even on the chess club before it became uncool in middle school. I traveled out with my parents. We went to Mount Rushmore, San Francisco, the Washington Monument, Alcatraz. So I kind of got an itch for travel, and so that's kind of my theme for this speech. So after high school, I decided to go to college, and I went about 7 days via horseback to my college from Charlotte to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I studied business administration and finance. After I graduated, I realized that I didn't want to work in a bank. I didn't want to go work in an investment firm. So I decided, you know what, let's do something fun. So I got one of my friends, and we heard about this girl who went to Europe and worked for 6 months on a student visa. So we went to talk to her, and we did this program called UNAC. And we all got jobs in London for 6 months. 3 of my friends went with me. I worked at the Hard Rock Cafe, the original Hard Rock Cafe in the world. I got addicted to bacon cheeseburgers in London, which is kind of ironic. So we saved up money. We lived in a very basic spot and flat in London. I had there was 2 of my roommates were students from France. 2 people, a married couple from New Zealand. 2 of my friends stayed in the same room with me. The unlucky one slept on an air mattress with a hole in it for 6 months. The first day we get into the flat, the guy from New Zealand asked me. He said, "Do you know Hulk Hogan?" He does like this, and I was like, before he could even answer, he goes an elbow into my bed and breaks my bed. So I had to call the landlord that same day and said, "Yeah, Adam, you slept in the bed. It's already broken." So from there we traveled a bit. I went to Europe. We lived very basic in London to save up money. We traveled to Prague and to Munich, and it was really cold. So we're like, let's go south. So we went to Italy and Spain, and that's where we ended our trip. Had a little bit of money left over, so I decided to go to Costa Rica, which is 216 days southwest of London by horseback. If a horse would flow. So I went to Costa Rica. I studied a little bit of Spanish, but mainly just traveled around and met people. One thing that did change my life. One day I met 2 Peace Corps volunteers that were traveling down from Honduras, and I talked to them for a while. And a couple of days later, I decided to apply for Peace Corps. A year later, I got a note and said, "Okay, you're going to Nicaragua. And Nicaragua was obviously right above Costa Rica, so I was like, cool. And, I know Costa Rica, so it's, it was a really exciting news for me. So when I got to Nicaragua, I became what's known as a business development volunteer, which basically meant I was a high school teacher for juniors and seniors, in high school, and we taught them how to start their own business, and it was the class was called La Empresa Creativa, which is how to become how to start a creative business. So we teach them, different ideas, how to get their minds going and think of something new. Also taught them accounting and marketing, all the basic things of business. Decided I loved Nicaragua so much I would stay. I ended up staying an extra year and a half. I sold beachfront property on the west coast of Nicaragua. I lived, my house was overlooking the ocean. I saw sunsets for over a year and a half. Amazing job. This was part of my uniform back then, except that I didn't have jeans, I had shorts and flip-flops. Going back to that original part, the guy asked me, how long it would take you to get to the United States by horseback. Well, on that same trip, we were going to a Mother's Day celebration, which is it's pretty big in Nicaragua, especially in this area. And they're especially excited to see me because most of them have never seen a Westerner before. So they had all kinds of interesting questions like, the horseback question, and do you know the President of the United States and all this other thing. What they wanted me to do when I got there, they wanted me to slaughter the cow that they were going to serve for Mother's Day. So if anyone's a vegetarian, feel free to walk out there. Seriously, if you want to. So I told them, you know what, I'm not going to slaughter a cow. I don't want to use any kind of weapons or anything. But I'll help out any way I can. And they said, well, you can hold the rope that's tied to the cow against a tree. And then the tree had like a bee branch, and you just tighten the rope and the cow's against the tree. And I was the person on the back. I was the anchor person. So there's 3 guys in front of me. And they said, whatever you do, don't let go of the rope. And I was like, fair enough, I won't let go of the rope. A couple minutes later, a guy comes around and slices the cow's throat, falls down. I let go of the rope. Everyone is screaming. It's almost like a cacophony of sound, laughing and screaming. Sure enough, the cow gets back up, had an adrenaline rush, pulls the other 3 guys into the tree. I get the rope back up, I didn't let go, and then there's another 30 seconds of struggle, and then it's all over again. I was still holding on to the rope. The other 3 guys were let go, at that point. It was just a fun time. So now that I know I'm over, I'm going to get to my point really quick. For Toastmasters, you have to learn how to follow directions. So don't let go of that rope, especially if one of your veteran Toastmasters tells you what to do. Second point is know your audience. If that person asks you how long does it take to get to your house by horseback, look at their shoes and realize why they would ask that question. Give a speech to your audience and make sure that you're telling them, giving them a perspective on what they want to hear. Thank you very much.